So this month I'm delighted to have an interview with Chris Croft. Chris Croft has a background in engineering, he's actually a chartered engineer, but for the last 20 years he has been lecturing on all aspects of project management and time management. So today we're going to talk about project management. We've just had a fantastic session. What is project management?
Well, I'd quite like 2 days to answer that question, but I guess a project is anything that's got a start and a finish, anything that's a little bit complicated, and it's usually something you haven't done before. So it's something that needs a bit of planning, something that's going to be difficult to do. And projects, they always have a start and a finish, they usually have a budget, and they have some deliverable that you're trying to deliver as well as a time scale. But I think the essence is you're going into the unknown. You're trying to do something complicated that you haven't done before.
Okay, so for estate agents and letting agents, a project for them could be potentially opening up a new office or a new website, for instance. So how do you go about managing that project?
Yes, it could be anything they're changing. It could be changing the way they work in the office, computerising a system, it could be a marketing campaign, it could be anything. And how do you plan it? Well, there's a 12-step process that I've been teaching. I won't go into all the detail, but basically you break it down into its tasks. So you work out what the tasks are going to be. It's the only way really to get a grip of it to start with. Then you estimate how long the tasks are going to take and what they're going to cost. A little bit of guesswork involved there, but if you can break something you haven't done before down into tasks that you have done before, then that helps you to estimate it. So you may not have built a house before, but you probably know how long it takes to get prices, and you probably know what it costs to buy furniture or whatever. So you can break it down into the bits. And then you add all that up to be a big project plan. And the actual building it up into a plan is done in 2 stages. And really my number one message of my project management day is that you need to do the post-its and then the Gantt chart. So first of all, you use post-it notes to work out the running order, and you can see we've got one on the wall here we did this morning. So they show the running order of the tasks, and they've got the times on, so you can look and you can see where the longest path is. So you start to get a feel, and that's really the heart of your project planning. That's when you actually decide, how are we going to do this thing? And then later on you draw that out to scale more neatly in the form of a thing called a Gantt chart, which has just got the dates across the top, and it's like got bars for the various tasks, so everybody can see the plan.
Okay, so
that's how you plan a project.
Tell us more about the Gantt chart. How do we create a Gantt chart?
Yes, I've got a sort of running joke, which is that I love Gantt charts, and most people don't even like them or don't know what they are, but they actually are brilliant. And you create it based on that. So you draw the critical path to scale. So this particular one, you can see we've got 3 weeks for choosing which country we're going to open in. This is a big project. And then 8 weeks for finding the site and 8 weeks for buying it, etc. So you draw those tasks coming down in steps the right length. And then you put in what are called the floating tasks around there. So they have to fit in the gaps. So you can see that after we've got the manager, we've got to find the furniture supplier, buy it and install it. And all 3 of those have got to fit in after we've got the manager and before we open. So you put the floating tasks in. So drawing the Gantt chart is easy once you've got that. You know, that's the work. Although having said that, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like almost fun, because you don't do it on your own, sitting in an office all lonely with your post-its, but you get your team together and you get them to help do it. So, you know, a group of 3 or 4 people moving those around, it's great. They get to be involved, you get a better plan, everybody buys into it. So yeah, you create that, which is fun, and then it's pretty easy to draw it out to scale as a Gantt chart.
Great. One thing I notice about that is that the sticky notes are very flat. How did you go about getting them so flat?
Yes, I've got a special method, which I call the SPM, the sideways peeling method. It quite often gets a round of applause when I do my session, which is a little bit weird. But what you do is you peel them off the pad sideways rather than upwards, because normally people just pull them off upwards and that rolls up the top and then they stick out from the page. So you definitely want to go for sideways peeling. And actually, I've just realised I didn't answer your question at all just then, because I think you asked, why do I love Gantt charts?
Yeah.
And I just want to say there are actually 4 reasons to love Gantt charts,
okay.
Very briefly.
Yes.
One of them is they're great for communicating. what the project is, because everybody who looks at it can immediately see what the tasks are, and quite often their name is against one of them, so they can see when the tasks are going to happen and who's doing them. Second reason is resource planning, because you can look vertically and you can see that several tasks are happening at the same time. So that's going to be a problem, and then you can think, do we have to move them sideways so they don't all hit at the same time? So resource planning. Third reason is communicating, monitoring your progress. So you colour in the tasks as you go. So you have a now line that moves along, and you colour in as you go, and you try to keep up with the now line. So it allows you to immediately see whether you're running late or not on your project. And the fourth reason is interpreting finance, because if you're underspent, you might think that's good, but actually it probably means you're just late and you just haven't done as much as you should have. So if you have a quick look at the Gantt chart, particularly if you're underspent, you'll probably find that it'll tell you you're behind schedule, and that explains it. So you have to keep an eye on the progress on the Gantt chart when you're interpreting finance. So 4 reasons: communication, resources, monitoring progress, and finance. That's why I love Gantt charts.
Brilliant.
Can't live without them.
Yeah. And what do you think is the biggest mistake when it comes to project management?
Oh, biggest mistake that people make. I think it might be trying to plan it in their head. And it's very easy to think, right, we're going to reorganise the office, so let's think, we'll be needing furniture, and da-da-da. And before long, you've got a plan in your head. But the problem is, A, it'll be wrong, and B, you can't show it to anybody else. So, you need to be able to show it to your boss to reassure them. You need to be able to show it to your team so that they know what's happening and what they've got to do. And maybe to your customer to explain why you need the amount of time you need if it involves a customer. So I think probably doing the plan in your head is the biggest mistake. But there are so many mistakes people make when they're doing projects because they don't go on a course. And why wouldn't you just go on a short training course and learn how to do it when you're doing a project that's going to cost millions and could cost you extra millions if it goes wrong? At least read my project management mini book, available on Kindle.
And I hear you've also done some singing and rapping around project management, is that right?
It's not me that sings, but yeah, I did make a project management rap.
Okay.
Because one of the things you have to do is break it down into tasks. And I just was thinking about the phrase break it down. And I don't know if you know what break it down means, but I do play in a band. I played a saxophone in a band. And break it down means you go right down to just the bass or just the drums, and then everybody comes back in, And so I suddenly thought you could have a project management rap, and the chorus could be something like, make a plan before you start, always have a Gantt chart. And so I thought, wouldn't it be great? And I looked on YouTube and there weren't any, and I just thought the world needs a project management. So I've done one. It's actually performed by a friend of mine who's a professional rapper. So he's got this great street accent, and I think I'm probably too posh to do it. So I wrote the rap and played some of the music, and I made the video. It's on YouTube. Just search for project management rap. It's the only one. You'll find it. And then some people complained that my voice wasn't on there, so I've recently done a project management rave as well, which has got my voice going Gantt chart just occasionally. And I don't know which one's better. I think the rap's more informative, but the rave has a certain atmosphere. Check them both out. They're both on YouTube.
Yes, we'll do. And if there's one tip when it comes to project management, what would that be? What is the must when it comes to project management?
I actually think, although I love Gantt charts, I think the must is do the post-it notes.
Okay.
Just whatever you do, just get a list of some tasks somehow. Just get them out in order. Put the times on and just see, because then everybody can see how we're going to do it. And if you're looking at a project and you're just thinking, I can't face it, I don't even know where to start, that's a sign you need to do this, because then it shows you where to get into it. And quite often the time scale's longer than you expected.
Yes.
And so, or the project's a whole different shape to what you thought. So just post-it notes on a whiteboard or on a bit of paper like we've got here, even if it's a bit scruffy like that one is, it doesn't matter. So I think that would probably be my top tip, would be just get some post-it notes and do a bit of a plan. But maybe my second tip would be go on a course.
Yeah.
Why make it up? It just amazes me, managers make it up as they go along, and there's 150 years of really clever people thinking about this subject, and they've nailed it. They've absolutely worked out how to do it, and why wouldn't you get someone to tell you about it?
Definitely.
So that's what I'd say.
Thank you very much, Chris. You've had lots of fun today learning about project management, so thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. It's been fun.